welcome to the Metapod Podcast, Pokemon podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. Another week here on the pod. Sean, how are you doing?
I'm good. I am good, Jake. I'm tired, but not from the regional. I was helping babysit a friend's child today.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say cat or dog.
No.
Puppy. No. Oh, okay.
I was being a good friend.
Yeah, you were doing that, and the Hartford Regional. Sean over here, for anyone who did not see on Twitter or listen to last week's podcast, did compete in the Hartford Regional. Sean, I gotta ask, did you win?
I mean, clearly not. No, I did not win. I didn't even finish the first day because I was like, I got there. My first round opponent, I will say, was Zach Lesage. It was really nice being paired up against somebody that, you know, we've chatted with on the pod, and I know him, and I'm like, okay, cool. It's a nice, friendly reintroduction to, like, you know, regional play in Pokemon. And so, but I will say my very first game, this is when I knew the day might not go my way. I prized 3 Ralts game 1. and it was so funny because, like, I opened the game, I battle VIP pass, and I'm just looking through my deck, and my eyes just get bigger and bigger, and I'm just like, well, this will be an interesting one. And I get out a Ralt.
Not drawing cards this game.
I get out Ralts, and I get out a Mew, and I'm like, okay. And then after that turn, I think Zach was like, he didn't go get another Ralts when he easily could have. And Zach was playing he went first that game, and he was playing the Arc Umbreon, the Arc Duraludon with Umbreon build, which I was like, I hadn't played against it before that. And when you only have 1 Ralts, and your opponent evolves into Umbreon going on their second turn to bring up your 1 Ralts, you immediately are like, You're
like, maybe we should go to game 2.
Yeah, that was exactly right. I think I scooped like 2 minutes after that. I was like, yeah, this ain't going nowhere fast.
Once you know you don't have the win condition, that is the time to go into the next game.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, the tournament, I went 0-2-1. So 1-2-1. So I won I won a round. I tied 1 round, and I lost 2. When I got my second loss, I decided it was time to do side events. But I will say, anybody out there who met me at Hartford and like that I met or whatever, it was really awesome. I did have a few people that that were like, hey, I know the Metapod. I was like, that's great. So, like, it was really awesome getting to
any opponents you match up with be like, oh, the Metapod. Are you Sean?
No opponents.
Shucks.
No, yeah.
Maybe I'll just make it all the way to the championship at NAIC, and then I have to, at that point, like 20 matches, somebody's got to have listened.
Yeah. If I'd played it out all 9 rounds, I would have hit one. But no, I didn't have anybody that was an opponent mention it. But I will say the most fun thing I had, I played Guardy EX, and shout out to my first thing that I won from the side events, which was. You
won that at a side event?
Well, I didn't win. I got tickets. From playing side events enough to
still, I remember NAIC in 2019. I don't know if the ticket distribution system is a little bit different, but I remember I had to play a lot of side events to get like a play mat.
I will say,
and it was just like a basic Alolan Ninetales play mat.
I will say my side event game was strong, much stronger than my, because every win you get in the side events, you get tickets. And so if you don't win, it'll take you forever. But I cleaned up on my side. I think I lost 2 games total.
So for people who may not have gone to NAIC before, Sean, what side events were you doing? Like, we say side events, but people who have never been there before maybe are going to NAIC for the first time or going to another regional, or is there another regional before NAIC?
There
in North America at least
might be one.
I don't know,
but I mean, there might be one. But even if you don't, there'll be other regionals this year or in the future too. Or if you end up going to Worlds or NAIC, there'll be side events at NAIC. Like in terms of what to expect, one of the things that I think we wanted to talk about today was like regionals in general, right? I haven't been to one since 2019. And when I went to the one in 2019, I was like laser focused. I was playing to win, CP
Sean was playing
mattered.
every day.
Well, I was playing every day, and I went to the regional, and I went all the way to the last round where I had to win an in for day 2. I lost, but because of that, I didn't play really in any side events. And the next day I was just beat. I was exhausted. So this was the first time I ever really dove into side events, and it's a whole range of stuff. Some of the fun stuff that you can do. The first day that I was there on Friday, I did like a standard tournament, effectively. We played 4 rounds. It was best of 1, which was really nice. And there was no prize for like winning the tournament. It's just every game that you won, you got 50 prize tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I did well. I lost 1 and won 3. So I did much better than I did in the regional.
Yeah.
And so that was chill. But outside of that, the weirder stuff is now there's like gym leader challenge side events at every regional. So there's like, you can go and do a gym leader challenge tournament. I think at like most regionals now, which if you're into that format, super fun. I hear. I haven't played it.
I played it at Full Grip one time. It was I think it was before like official events were coming back. I think it was actually like almost a year ago now.
Okay.
I went over there because I went over there after school had gotten out, and I went to Ohio. And so on the way back, I basically like stayed an extra day, and competed at Full Grip for like the Sunday gym leader challenge format they had tournament, I think.
Interesting. Well,
I met a lot of people there that I had watched and stuff, and it was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Gym Leader Challenge was fun. If anyone who wants to get into it, you can watch stuff on YouTube. But anyways, continue.
Yeah, no, I mean, so like if you're going to a big regional and you're going to compete, but also to have fun, check out Gym Leader Challenge. Just Google it, and you'll find the rules for it. You'll find probably some deck builds out there that you can look into. And if you can, build a deck beforehand so you have something. But I would also say if there's anybody out there that happens to listen who knows the vendors that are going to these events, if you want a recommendation, I think they should build gym leader challenge decks and sell those, just like the whole deck, because I think people would genuinely buy a gym leader challenge deck to compete in those events, because otherwise it's really complicated to like build a 60 card singleton deck.
Yeah.
And so like,
it's so difficult because, I mean, like, if you think about it, like, I think it's like an Ivysaur. There's an Ivysaur grass type that's like $40 or something like that. There's like a stage 1 and a stage 2 line that's like really, really expensive because it's the ideal one, and it's really old in like the black and white era.
I mean, look, even if you're not building the expensive gym leader challenge deck, just putting all the cards together to make a relatively effective one at a region, just from the booths, is going to be almost impossible. So I would highly suggest, if you're one of these companies, like, hey, if you've got that inventory lying around, throw some decks together that are playable, that are interesting, and I think people would be into it. But so there's Gym Leader Challenge, there's standard tournaments, but the other things that people do that are more on demand are like, there's something called a pack battle. Which, Jake, have you ever done a pack battle that's not like what you pull out of the pack?
Yeah, I don't know if I've done a pack battle in terms of that. I only know like one side event at NAIC, and I'm hoping you don't say it so then I can say it.
Okay, well, I will say the pack battle.
Explain. Yeah, pack battle.
The pack battle is one pack, and the way that they told us the rules, and sometimes I guess it changes, but we open a pack, and then from that pack, you build a 10-card deck, and then you can also go get energies.
I've heard about this.
You build a 10-card deck. You have one prize. I heard sometimes they do 2 prizes, but you do 1 or 2 prizes, and it's mutant evolution. So if it's a basic, any stage 1 can go over any basic. It doesn't matter the typing. And so that way, like from one pack.
Digimon.
Yeah, kind of. But your energy does matter. So if you're playing a deck that needs a specific kind of energy, you do have to. That does matter still. But that was like really fast. It was a lot of fun, and I was about the luckiest person you can be in opening packs because I did 2 pack battles and then I won like a couple of extra packs a little bit inadvertently. They weren't supposed to give you packs as prize. Like one time I won 3 of the games and I got the pack for the pack battle. So I ended up with 4 packs and 4 sets of prize tickets for like 1 event ticket, which is like $6. And I'm like, this is broken. And they were like, oh no, you're not supposed to get more than 1 pack. That was a mistake.
But you're already walking away with it anyway, so just take it.
But like I opened like an alternate art Koraidon. I opened the alternate art Gardevoir EX, the really nice one. And I opened a gold fighting energy from 5 packs.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So, just get pulls like that. Anyways.
You can oh gosh, what am I thinking you can do? You can like basic the Koraidon rare candy mutant evolution into Gardevoir EX and just like
could. You could. I mean, yeah, it was
use the ability for Koraidon to like put fighting energies on. That would be funny. Anyways,
that was a lot of fun. So pack battles are fun. They have lots of other ones. They have pre-release build-in battles.
That's the one that I've done. Yeah. And that was pretty much like my first experience with pre-release kits. I had no idea because NAIC was the first time. This was before I was even going to like a local league. I had just been playing online and streaming PTCGO, rip PTCGO. But I had just been doing that. And so I really, really liked the pre-release events. And I mean, it took me a while to get enough tickets for the map, but that's because I think I was not very good, probably because I was brand new, but that's okay because I was having a ton of fun. And it was a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah. So that will be fun at NAIC because they'll also probably have the Paldea evolved pre-releases. So the set will be pretty new. So you can do those. Those are a lot of fun. And then they have a lot of other like different events. You could do a 4-person pod that is standard format. That, at this event at least, they had it where like you could enter 1 ticket and you get a dice guaranteed, and then you can win event prize tickets. Or you can go all the way up to paying 6 event tickets and then you're guaranteed a mat. So that's how they did it. Like you're guaranteed it was a Mew playmat. I wasn't as interested in that. So the one event that I did, the side event that I don't think many people do, but I would actually, it's expensive, but I would highly recommend it to anybody, whether you're at a regional or just at home, which is a booster box battle.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
So each player gets 1 booster box. And you open the whole box and you build. We built a 40-card deck with 4 prizes. I actually think you could build a 60-card deck with 6 prizes out of 1 box. No mutant evolution rules. No special rules. It's like you either play it pre-release rules or you play it normal rules. But you build an entire deck out of what you pull in a booster box. And I don't know... I don't know if they've changed the way that they seed packs, but it really worked. Like, I was incredibly lucky. I pulled 3 Toxicroak EX in 1 box.
You had a whole deck.
I did, and I pulled 4 Croagunk. I had a 4-3 line of Toxicroak. Also,
the most consistent buy. I would be mad actually if I opened up a box and I got 3 Toxicroak EX. Like if I had just bought a box from a card shop and done that, I'd have been so mad. But for the event that you went to, it worked out.
And I will say, I also pulled the alternate art Gardevoir EX again. So,
oh my gosh, Sean, did you?
It was so dumb, but I genuinely that was an awesome side event to do. It takes forever because you're all opening a box and you're all sorting through an entire box to build your deck, but I've never had an experience like that with Pokemon where it actually felt really fun to draft, or do like sealed. Like even pre-release is it's fun, but you have such a limited selection of packs, and most people just sort of end up with whatever their like little kit came with as the starter deck basically, and with a couple of changes here and there. But like with a booster box, man, I played with cards I've never considered before. And I'm going to tell you right now, Jake, I think there is a card that is hard being slept on. and that is Mabastiff.
Oh, that's the one that's like boss's orders, isn't it? When it
Every
evolves
single
or
turn.
every turn. Oh
It's
yeah.
like, it's insane. It's a stage 1. It's not even that it's not a stage 2. It's just it's a one prize Pokemon, so nobody's gonna bother bossing this thing up. You evolve it, and then all of a sudden you have a free boss's order on every turn. I'm like, how does Sander not know about this card?
It's just, yeah, I mean, I think it's just, I look at the format right now and there's just too many Pokemon that like already have a full bench.
I mean,
That's the biggest hindrance I feel like for the card. But if you have like, I don't know why. I mean, I do know why Arceus, Duraludon, Umbreon's not playing the Mabosiv is because Umbreon can hit for weakness and KO. But like,
yes.
I mean, that would be, in my opinion, probably the closest meta deck that could probably do it.
Yeah, because you don't put a lot of stuff on your bench. I think that I think you could maybe get away with it with the Lost Box Hisui and Goodra deck.
Oh yeah, you might be able to with Goodra. That's right.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to attack with it, so it's kind of trash in that respect. But honestly, like I don't know, it's a fascinating card. I don't know if it'll ever see play.
If you did 3 Toxicroak, though, I mean, you have a whole dark deck going.
Oh, I had a whole dark deck, Jake, and it was glorious.
Did you just do Scarlet and Violet base set?
Yeah, we each got one Scarlet and Violet box. I'd be interested to see if you mixed up the boxes too, like what that would be like. But
I don't know if they did Paldea or if they will do Paldea Evolved. I'm trying to think because in NAIC 2019, the newest set would have been Unbroken Bonds. Because Worlds was the first
with Unified Minds
that Unified Minds was. And I'm trying to think. I think actually... Oh, gosh. I think actually they did have Unbroken Bonds because I remember getting that. And then I did it like 4 times. I did the pre-release side event like 4 times. I had so much fun just opening these sets I didn't know about, right? Because all I knew about was like Team Up. And so I think I got Unbroken Bonds once. I got Forbidden Light, I think. Celestial Storm, and the 4th time I was really hoping to get Forbidden Light again. I don't know why, but I didn't know anything about the sets. I just really wanted Forbidden Light.
Well, yeah, I mean,
who knows? Maybe they will have Paldea Evolved kits.
They could have like a mix too. Like when I was at Gen Con last year, they were doing pre-release build-in battles, and they had like multiple sets. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure like it was random when we got it, or at least maybe the first time around we got to choose which one we wanted, and then after, like as it got later in the day and stuff like that, it became like, oh, this is just what we have left.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, the biggest recommendation I would have is like if you're going to a regional and you're not, or NAIC, and I went in with the mindset of I'm gonna have fun. I'm not gonna like, if I'm not doing amazing, I'm not gonna like try to grind my way to a day 2, because once I had 2 losses and a tie, I'm like, the only way I make day 2 is to win out. And I'm like, I'm not going to try to win 5 in a row at this point and like stress about it. And so I'd say for anybody out there who's going primarily to have fun, play in the tournament, do your best. Like, yeah, go for it. But if at any point you're thinking to yourself, man, I think I'd have more fun playing the side events, you will not be let down. It will cost you money. This is how this works, right?
Yeah. It does
not free.
Cost more money.
But, I would, it's a lot of fun. And if you go with another person, or it's a great way to also meet people, because they'll put you in like a little 4-person pod at all these side events, so you can chat with people. And I don't know. I had a ton of fun doing it, and I've never done that before. And if you do well, you can win something like a plushie, Gardevoir, or Jake,
our new podcast host. You got a Cubone too.
I did
chunky Cubone.
Oh yeah, this Cubone is big. He's a thick Cubone.
Yeah, he's thick.
He's got
cushiony.
He's got beads in him. And also, Jake, have you ever seen underneath a Cubone's?
Yeah, I have seen underneath. It's not something that you see often on like official art and stuff. Oh yeah, yeah, that one does it.
He's basically Charmander. He's brown Charmander. Anyways, I'm like, I lifted that up and I'm like, this is cursed. Never mind. I'm
This
putting
is
it.
cursed. That's why you almost never see it. But I will agree with Sean. The first time I went to a Pokemon event was a spectator, so I literally just did side events. Do keep in mind though that if you're someone who maybe you don't mind if you don't hit day 2, right? Get that 6-1 record, but maybe your goal is to get points. You can get points and not make day 2.
It's true. It's true.
So that is something I think like probably based on the amount of people that have signed up, it's like over 2,000 people signed up in the trading card game for NAIC.
Yeah.
Considering that, I think like top 256 get points. I'm not 100% sure. You'll have to double check that. I know 128 would.
Yeah.
But try to aim for like the top 256 if you're trying to go for a more results aspect. But again, like Sean said, don't be afraid, if you go in thinking like, oh, I want to make top 256 or I want to make day 2 and it doesn't happen. Try to spend the rest of your time, having fun. If you get a hotel for 3 days, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you don't make day 2, that doesn't mean they like kick you out and, oh, you can't come back. You can still come back the next day. And even on Sunday when they do the championship games, right, for all 3 divisions. So I encourage, if you have the opportunity to stay there all 3 days, go ahead, do it. You can meet a bunch of people. You can watch the finals like along with everybody. And, there's a ton of stuff too. Cause they also, Sean, they have like the video games going on at the same time.
Yep.
Did they have Unite there?
They didn't have Unite at this one, which I know a friend of mine was a little bit confused and sad, but I think they'll have it at NAIC.
Well, they'll have like a bunch of other, like I think Pokemon Go usually happens. Do they still do the fighting game?
No,
the
they
like
don't
Mortal
do Pokken.
Kombat kind of Pokken.
No. Yeah.
But anyways, they have other like formats as well of stuff that you can just like openly watch. You can watch the stream game. So it's kind of cool to see all of them together and things like that. And again, there's different vendors like Sean said. So you can pick up some singles. You can pick up, Japanese exclusive products. A lot of places will bring and some shops will have. So you can get like some really, really cool sleeves or
playmats.
Playmats as well. Different things like that. So, yeah. I mean, I signed up for NAIC, so I will be there. I plan on being there all 3 days. I want to stay the whole time. I don't know. I mean, I might not be at the venue the whole time. I might go out on like day 2 or whatever. But I'm going to try to play all 9 rounds, regardless if I'm, 9-0 or, well, if I'm 9-0, then I'm probably strategically going 6-0-3, just trying to make it in. But that probably won't happen. But if I'm 0-9-0, right, I'm just going to try to play out all those games on day 1 because people will say, like just getting through those rounds in general, it's taxing. It's a lot. It takes a lot out of you. It's an achievement in itself to be able to like play all 9 rounds.
And that, I think that's a good starting place for like, we talked about like the good, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but I will say, being at a regional for the first time in a few years, there's also, I think, some challenges that people should know if they're going to NAIC or going to regional. Just also, I don't know, I want to share my thoughts on like what I would change if I ran a regional. I think the first and biggest thing that I think a lot of people are noticing right now with Pokemon is 50 minutes best of 3 is really becoming untenable. I'm just going to say that the reason that is, between Guardy EX and Lost Box, specifically, those 2 decks, there are so many interactions in both decks, and both decks play a not insignificant number of single prize attackers. And even if it's not single prize attackers, they're like, you still have to get through 2 prizers, plus maybe a single prizer in between. And that, makes up, that's going to make up anywhere between 20 to 35% of the field at a lot of tournaments. And that's not necessarily going to change when the new set comes out, right? So you're thinking like if a third of your decks that are like quote unquote the best decks, like the decks that people enjoy playing, whatever. If a third of your decks cannot legitimately finish a best of 3 in 5 minutes most of the time, I actually
50 minutes, by the way. 50, not 5. Not
Oh
5.
yeah, did I say 5 minutes?
Yeah, you
Oh,
said
Lord.
5. I think everyone
It
will
feels
know
like
that you said
5.
50, but I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I have
sorry.
to correct this.
50 minutes. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If they can't finish, and genuinely, I played Guardi EX. I don't consider myself a particularly slow player. I played a lot of card games. I tied one game, and every single round I played went to time. I only played 4 rounds. And I did not play against decks that take forever. I only played one Lost Zone deck at all. So it is not unique to, I think, any given player. I think people can play really fast. But that's the thing that I really think the Pokemon Company in the West needs to reconsider is the best of 3. I know it sucks if you play best of 1 and you lose just because you had a bad round. Like, yeah, that's terrible. But Japan is designing these cards. And they're designing these cards for the Japanese market. And the Japanese market plays a best of 1 25 or 30-minute round. So that is what is in their mind. Is like, can I finish a game with this deck in 30 minutes? And the answer with all of these is yeah. Can I finish 3 in 50? No.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have a hard time. I feel like I don't have enough like high competitive experience to be able to like really feel that way. Cause like, I think back to League Cups, or like other moments, like the best of 3s, that you play that maybe aren't like a challenge well, challenges don't have best of 3, I don't think.
No.
But like I think specifically like a cup and stuff, I've never really had trouble with like the clock, even when I was like playing Control. But I think, we've talked about like that one time that Robin Schulz or
Oh yeah, when he went
Philip
905 or like something like that to win the tournament. Yeah.
Some insane number of ties. And I mean, if you look at like the regional results of like top 16, like nobody has more than 3 ties in their 15 rounds that they play. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's a common, like, it's hard because I think for players like you and I, maybe, yeah, because like we don't play every single day. We don't play 5 hours a day, and we don't coach other people to help, determine our playing. So I understand and I agree, for the average player, they can't play a best of 3 50 minutes right now. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like for like a player who does do that and chases for like the championship or like a top 16 in the country, I feel like they don't normally have that. I don't know. I mean, I watched Hartford this weekend, and there were not very many ties when it came to like those top games. I mean, yeah, like I think it was Danny Altavilla's game in top 8 or something like that. The stream game that Danny played in, and like game 1 took like 30 minutes. But it didn't really determine the outcome of the series in a sense. It's really hard to explain. I just feel like it's the weird thing because it's like Overwatch, in my opinion. Like Overwatch, they create patches based on gold level players, which is not, which I guess is what you would say is like your average player, but they don't make the decisions based on high level players, that are topping these events and stuff like that. So it's really weird to be able to change the rules.
But here's the difference.
Like based on that, I don't know how it feels.
Here's the difference. A competitive Overwatch team is never going to be in an event playing against a random gold level player. But every single one of these top level players, you get randomly paired. And for the first 3, 4, 5
No, I
rounds.
think Overwatch teams will. I mean,
No, if
think
you're in
about
the
it.
if you're in the Overwatch League, it's not you versus a random set of 5.
Well, I'm talking about anytime you're playing on like ranked ladder
But
or
no,
whatever.
but don't they pair you based on your rank? So like if you're a diamond or grandmaster, you're not getting paired against gold.
Well, I agree with that, but like when you play on like Pokemon TCG Live, right? I mean, that's the same as like a ranked system, but like if you go to like any sort of invitational or like tournament or things like that, that's what I'm saying is like the matches, like sure you may struggle in the beginning rounds to like if I get matched up with against Azul, you know, Azul's gonna play really, really fast. And I might not be as fast as Azul, you know, and I might not be a level player that is able to keep up with that pace of play and maybe play best of 3 in 50 minutes. But I feel like that's just kind of, I don't know, it's just a weird thing of like if you know your portion of the people, it's a weird thing to like, you want to accommodate or you want to do something that positively affects both sides, but I don't know, like, because I don't want to play best of one, to be honest, in terms of like NAIC or something like that. But I also don't know if I want to play 9 rounds of 70-minute best of 3s.
I totally
like it's
agree.
already a really long day, so it's like I don't know. I don't know what they would want to change.
Here's my belief, though. I think every round is already a 70-minute best of 3. Here's my rationale.
Yeah, because you have some people that get like time extensions because of judges.
Well,
and
but also once you go to time in the round, there is no timer. It's 0, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And having just been at this, right? Every single round I played, literally all 4, went to time. Neither player, I think, was playing particularly slow, but we always had. Actually, there was one game that we didn't get to a game 3. I ended up winning because I won game 1 against Lost Box, and Lost Box could not finish the second game. We didn't even make it to the third game. And it's just because of the fact that everyone is, like, a lot of people are going to time, that means it takes longer for each round to actually finish because you have to wait for players to play it out. Then you have to send the match slips in. I genuinely think that effectively it is a 70-minute round. Now, I agree with you. If you made it de facto 70, then maybe it would just extend it out to 80 or 85
Yeah,
minutes.
I mean, I just think it would just go, I think it would just go farther. I mean, there's a point, obviously, to where, like, you know, it would stop going farther.
Well, yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
eventually.
that means that we would also be competing in like 24-hour tournaments.
Yeah,
you know, at
that's
that
true.
point. So it's just like, I feel like the ties are necessary. I mean, I see, like, what I don't like though is how Japan, like, I like how we deal with ties. I'm okay with how we deal with ties. For those of you that don't know, in Japan, in tournaments, if you tie, you get a double game loss. So instead of 1 point, you get 2 losses.
Yeah.
So like a tie in a best of 1, right, 30 minutes, it could be detrimental to your entire run just right off the bat. Where a tie, you know, in round 1 of Hartford Regionals is like, okay, you know, I'm still in the game.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's a whole different mindset, and I don't know.
I don't disagree. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I don't know. It's just something I thought about where, like, again, I'm thinking back to a few years ago, and I can sort of see why 3 prize Pokemon are introduced, because that speeds the game up, to be honest. And look, they introduced things like Sky Sealstone. They're clearly trying to give us ways to make the game shorter. There's someone... I mean,
look at the Hartford Championships. We were like out of there by 6 p.m.
Right. And you know, who knows all of the things that went into that, but we'll talk about it in a little bit, but like, if you look at those top lists, a lot of them are not, they don't take, like, Mew can take a long time, but otherwise Mew is really fast. I would say, like, because if Mew's going to lose,
long terms, but yeah, Mew has long turns, but the game it's not as long of a game.
Yeah, because you know, you only need to take 2 knockouts potentially with Mew VMAX. So yeah, I don't know. That was one thing that popped into my mind. And the other reason that I think it's important is because at this regional, and I don't know how it is at every other regional, but there was no lunch break, no break
Yeah,
whatsoever.
that part was so weird when I heard that.
And
That was weird.
there is no food. There's one small cafe and otherwise no food. And apparently what I heard is you're not allowed to bring outside food in. Now, I did bring Starbucks in at one point, and who's going to stop me? To be honest. But like,
wow, rebel browser.
I know, crazy. But I will say, like, if you're running a regional where you're going to give people like short enough amounts of time where you will go to time very often. So you're like, how often do you finish a game early? For most players, it's almost never. And then you don't have any breaks. And then especially in the day one, the day two is a kind of a different beast because like you greatly reduce the number of players that have to like interact with. But that first day, man, when you've got 1,300 players and every round is beginning and ending at the same time and there's no lunch break, so people are getting done with their rounds around the same time. The bathrooms are really packed. Anyone who's trying to go get food anywhere nearby, it's all packed. I really think that these the people who are running the events really need to consider the bringing in food trucks or something, right? Like, I get it. There's more overhead to doing that. But if you were to tell food trucks, hey, we have 1,500 or 2,000 captive players who you are going to be the best source of food for them, I think that a lot of food trucks would be down to make the trip.
It's interesting. I feel like it being an event organizer to an extent in like college athletics, like if you're going to have a system to where like there's no lunch break, like you have to allow outside food inside.
Yeah.
Right. I can get it if you have a lunch break and, you know, the venue is popping with different food options.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, it's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I am not diabetic, but I do have celiac, and so what happened is I did not eat. I woke up.
Yeah,
it starts at 8 a.m. So like finding any place that has celiac food, and everyone can say like, oh, you should have prepared for this, yada yada. And I'm like, yeah, I could have, I guess, gone to a CVS the day before and grabbed some snacks. All true, but like I am not the only human who will not have done that. And you wake up,
and there's just people like me that get hungry. You know, is.
But like, you know, I get to the event at 8. The only place open before that is Starbucks, and I can't eat the food at Starbucks because of dietary restrictions. But I can't have a coffee, so I have a coffee, and then I did not eat until 7 p.m. I just didn't have food because you know what? There was not an option. And so like that would be the kind of thing where it was just kind of like, hey, it can't be normalized that people just don't eat like that.
Yeah, I mean, remember that your body. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist, so nothing. What I say
people need
is
food, though. That's not a wild statement.
I do know that you need food to live, and as a former athlete, you do need food to function. Yeah. I know there's a whole debate recently on Twitter, Sean, that you've missed about people talking about eating during events and not eating during events, and there's been a whole back and forth about it, which is really weird to me. But even if it's not a meal, right, because I get it, you don't have time to, you know,
get a sit down meal.
Yeah, you don't have time for that in between rounds or during lunch break or something like that, but just have some snacks in case, you know, all your rounds go to time. If you know you're playing Lost Box, right?
Yeah.
Have some snacks.
So I guess that would be the advice for NAIC. I don't know what the whole venue setup is going to be like there, but if you're playing in the tournament, you know, obviously Jake, you will be playing. Bring some snacks.
I will.
Bring some snacks. I will be
bringing snacks. I'm a snack fiend.
All right. Well, that is the end of my good and the bad. Jake, do you want to talk about, since this is probably, I think, the last couple of big regionals of this format, what ended up on top?
So what ended up on top, the third time this season that the same archetype won back-to-back events, or I guess what I should say is 2 events in the same weekend, it was Fusion Strike Mew. Fusion Strike Mew winning both Malmo and Hartford Regional. Sean has got that pulled up there. A deck that a lot of people thought was just out the window in terms of gone like the wind. But looky here, there's some interesting things in the winning deck list at Hartford in here, not only because it's just Fusion Strike Energy, but there's a Pokemon in here, Sean. Usually people think Fusion Strike Mew, they think of just baby Meloetta and maybe an Oricorio, but what's that other purple Pokemon up there?
I mean, that is Purple Deoxys, which is a Fusion Strike, as well as a single, as well as a rapid, but none of that matters. It does, for 3 colorless, it does 80 plus. If this has any Fusion Strike energy, it does 80 more. So a 120 HP beater, basically, that for 1 Fusion Strike and a double colorless can do 160, which is enough to knock out a lot of those pesky one prizers. You know, if you have to worry about that, slap a choice belt on there, and then you can knock out an opposing Mew, maybe. Yeah.
You would have to have 3 Fusion Strike energy on it, because Fusion Strike double turbo is 140, choice belt is 170.
Well, does the double turbo, it only reduces it on Vs, right? But this is not a 2-prizer.
No, I think it's all Pokemon.
Oh, the attacks of this Pokemon do 20. Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
So it would be 160, 140, Yeah, you're right.
But
all
still,
right.
you know, there is a world where you can go, you know, a couple Fusion Strike systems, right? And be able to photon boost, right? With just 3 Fusion Strike energies.
Yeah. And so it's a good additional single prize attacker on top of the Meloetta. But then, yeah, like, I think it's interesting watching this deck get played. I did watch the finals, which Jake was in. I
texted you. I was like, Sean, yeah, I know you didn't watch these finals because you were busy, but you need to watch these finals before we do the pod.
Yeah, it was. For those of you who didn't watch, Jake, do you want to explain exactly what kind of shenanigans they got up to?
There was it feels like a fever dream. There was a lot of things that happened. It was Fusion Strike Mew against Lugia. The Lugia playing the Tyranitar V that had Cragalanche and Single Strike Crush. At one point, Grant Shen, who was playing Lugia, had the Tyranitar. His opponent playing Fusion Strike Mew only had 2 cards left in his deck, and Grant is playing out his turn. You know, he's trying to hit the sauce. He's got the Tyranitar in the active with 3 energies on it, fulfilling the energy requirement for Cragalanche. If you do not remember what Cragalanche does on Tyranitar, it does 60 damage, but the effect is discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. So and then his opponent literally showed him his deck and said, "Hey man, I have 2 cards left." Like, just Cragalanche. Like, just being totally upfront and honest with him, which is crazy because I would never tell my opponent that.
This is especially because if he won that game, then he just wins outright right there. Because game 1 was basically a bricked hand for Grant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was wild in itself. And then I don't remember exactly when it was, but there was also a situation. It was in game 2. So the Fusion Mew player was up 1-0, right? And I think it was maybe the second game or the third game, but all of a sudden, you know, I mean, there was a lot of coin flips. You know, you have capturing Aroma.
Oh, that was the second game, yeah.
In the Lugia deck, you have Mesagoza, right? Both cards where you have to flip coins, and I think especially off like Mesagoza and the Cramomatics for the Mew player, they were just hitting heads after heads after heads, and Grant was hitting tails after tails after tails. On all of these effects. And there was at one point that I think it was the Mew player hit a heads, and then all of a sudden they shake hands.
Yeah.
Like they just shake hands, and the casters, I think it was Kyle and Jeremy, and myself included, I was watching it live. I was like, oh my gosh, he just scooped, right? Well, because when you're watching the stream games, universally the handshake is the scoop, but then they just kept playing.
And they put up the graphics.
Yeah, they put up the graphics of like winner because again,
Yeah.
shaking hands usually means win, but then they just kept playing and playing, and then all of a sudden they were still playing game 2, and then the Cragalanche, and then I think they shook hands like a couple more times.
They did. I think
off
at
of
that
heads.
point
It
they were
just
shaking
became
hands
like
as a joke. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
great.
it was just it was fun, wholesome Pokemon, for sure in that. But it was the goofiest finals that I've ever seen. But yeah, inside, we talked about the Lugia and the Fusion Mew in there. Mew, it was in there 2 other times within the top 8 at Hartford, and also I think it was 4 times. 4 times actually in Malmo. We'll talk a little bit later, but Mew really, really having a good day. Lugia taking in the Hartford Regionals 2nd and 3rd, taking up 2 spots. Lost Box taking up a couple more spots at 5 and 6, and then Ryan Harris over in 7th with the Arceus Duraludon Umbreon list. And that was your top 8 overall, and your Arceus was the most popular deck in there, 24%, but there's a whole bunch of like Arceus types in there, or well, a whole bunch of them is really 2 of them, Arctina and Arceus Duraludon. Arceus Duraludon being the superior one between the 2 overall in the event. And then in Malmo inside there, 1st and 2nd was Mew. It was a Mew finals, Fusion Mew on top, regular Mew 2nd. 3rd through 5th is Lost Box, 6th place Gardevoir, and then 7th and 8th is regular Mew VMAX. So, I mean, both of these were wild in the sense that there was a lot of Mew. Mew was just really good. And the fact that 2 Fusion Strike Mews was a great meta call about that. And it was pretty interesting, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, it was wild. Just seeing just one Guardy in all of the top 8s is I mean, look, I think people were down on Guardy, and rightly so. I mean, I like playing it because it tickles something in the back of my brain, like the way that it plays. I enjoy it, but
being able to draw a lot of cards and just move a lot of energies from the discard is enjoyable. Wow.
Yeah. But I do think here's my thought about it. You have a lot of people that are kind of teching against you with Drapion. I don't know if there was too much Galarian Moltres, but Umbreon is a really good example. It's dark type. It hits you for weakness. They boss up your stuff. It's a bad time. But the other challenge I think you run into as the Guardy player is it's really hard to get early game pressure. If you go first, the odds of you attacking going, turn 2, especially if you didn't Roar of the Sword that first turn, almost none. You have to rare candy into your Guardy EX with any amount of energy in the discard. Super low odds that actually happens because the deck isn't really built to do that. That's more of a bonus. And it might be that sort of pace. What I found is like not having that potential for speed going first compared to like all the Arceus decks and Mew and Lugia, who their game plan is go first, on turn 2, start swinging, start going crazy. So you're just kind of a turn behind more often than not. And, I think that actually is kind of the thing that's holding it back. What do you think?
I will agree with that. I mean, if you look at a deck like Mew can attack on its first turn going second, right? And start winning that prize trade, especially that Fusion Mew build with the Alyssa Sparkle and the Meloetta or even the Deoxys, right? You mentioned Deoxys being able to hit that 140 that knocks out all those baby Pokemon, the Comfey, the Cramorants, the Sableye, the Ralts, Kirlia,
the Greninja.
Greninja even. Yeah, it's a really good number on a Greninja if they leave that active. So the pace of play, I would agree, is not in favor of Gardevoir because Lugia Archeops as well can start hitting on turn 2 pretty consistently, right? All they need is just a Lugia V on the field turn 1, and that's like pretty much it in terms of their board state. They don't even have to get Archeops in the discard pile on their first turn. They just need it on the turn they want a Summoning Star or whatever the ability is on their Lugia V-Star. So it's just the the pace of play is too fast for Gardevoir. Like you have to match that speed, and that's something that's really, really difficult for Gardevoir right now. Most Gardevoirs. I know Tord did really, really well with Gardevoir. What tournament was that? Was that
It was one of the other
um
ones in Europe.
yeah, it was very recent. But
Oh, it was
you know,
EUIC.
yeah, EUIC. I mean, he did really, really well with it at EUIC, but just again, like you were saying, especially with Mew popping up more, the Drapions, the Galarian Moltres, like Gardevoir is also weak to dark.
Yeah. And like the fact that you're weak to dark and the other obviously very good deck, Mew, is also weak to dark. You just have this aligned incentive for people to play counters. It's a little unfortunate. I mean, who knows? Who knows what the next set is gonna bring? I know people in Japan are really hype on Guardy with Iono and all that other stuff, but
Oh yeah, I mean the disruption is huge. I mean, we talk about like Mew, for example. Mew's becoming this dominant spot now. With the we didn't show any deck lists, but like Judge and Path. That's a big thing that Mew has been playing right now, and a lot of lost vacuums. So then you can do like a aggressive path. I don't know what it's called. It's like it's a stadium that
it's
hinders
offensive.
your opponent and not. Yeah, it acts as more of a defensive card instead of disrupting you because you see the lost vacuum so frequently.
Yep.
You can just lost vacuum out when it's back on your turn to be able to draw more cards like crazy.
Yeah.
And so especially since we're seeing like that kind of stuff, I mean, it's just I don't know, it's opened up the gate and it's made it difficult.
Yeah, it'll be wild to see if Guardy can actually sort of make a reappearance at a high level. I mean, it's a good deck. I enjoy playing it, but we'll see.
I think it's got a shot because I mean, when we talk about like Iono and stuff like that, Iono just being a disruption card in general, like any deck that really just does not like disruption. My Dialga V-Star, for example, I don't like disruption. I don't like getting rid of my 2 energies and the Adaman that's in my hand that I was saving for next turn or whatever. I don't like being put to a 4-card hand when 22 of my cards are energies. Lost Box as well. Kind of has that, Lost Box can get these huge, gigantic hands with Greninja, Comfey, Colress, and stuff like that. You just reset that hand, and there's more resources that got to go in there. And if there's thing that I remember about playing something like Control, right? There comes to a point where you're milling an opponent's deck, like the Chip Ice Axe method. There's a point when you're playing Chip Ice Axe. If you don't remember what it is, it's an item card that allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, and you can choose what goes on top. There's a point when a deck becomes only good cards. Right, like, and so especially with Comfey and Colress, you get into that situation as a Lost Box player where you get disrupted and your deck is only good cards, but you need to draw stuff. You got to start getting rid of those things, and so it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. Might be a little shaky at first, because I mean, new decks are usually always kind of shaky out of the gate a little bit. It's a little bit more figured out with online events being so prevalent, I feel like. But
Jake, are you ready to get to the news? We put the news at the end today.
Oh my gosh, we're doing news today? What?
Yeah.
There's been news?
Yeah,
oh
there's a little bit. We can probably get through it pretty quick because it's not a ton, but I think one of the news pieces that I think some people will be excited about is that the Pokemon Company is sending out the unreleased staff promos. So there was a bunch of staff promos that, were supposed to be sent out, I guess, from previous sets. They got printed. And I think this was back when they were deciding like, oh, I don't think we're going to do this anymore. But they're actually going to start sending them out. And it's from sets all the way from like Evolving Skies, Brilliant Stars, Astro Radiance, Lost Origins, Silver Tempest. Yeah. So like if you really want to get the max rarity version of Lugia, or max rarity version of Guardy, you're going to be looking for those staff versions of Kirlia and Archeops.
Or Comfey's in Lost Origin, or
yeah.
If you like the Hisuian Zoroark, you go for that Gengar. I mean, the Gengar looks really good.
I mean, Galarian Moltres or Galarian Articuno or Flaffy. Because,
Bibarel and Brilliant Stars.
There's a lot of good staff promos in here. So, like, I think definitely keep an eye out. They're only being sent out, it looks like, inside of Europe right now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
at least at the start. We don't know if it'll come out the rest of the world. The idea behind it probably was it had probably something to do with the pandemic affecting the distribution. But who knows? I think there's probably a decent chance that it comes back for everyone else. But these are going to start hitting the market and stuff probably. So if you're a blinged out player,
here's a new card for you to look out for to flex.
Exactly.
Jake, what is the news from a set perspective?
The special holiday set is confirmed for fall this year's. Lots of products coming this fall in the Pokemon Card 151. The set that includes the original 151 Pokemon. In this, there's a bunch of products that are going to be set to release. There's not going to be like booster boxes and things like that. There's going to be mini tins, EX boxes, Elite Trainer box, Ultra Premium Collection, and a bunch of other products in there. September 1st, we'll see the release of the Fall 2023 EX tins, a 2023 holiday calendar, which is interesting. The holiday calendar. My sister got me a holiday calendar for Christmas. Shout out to her, but it was for the last year. So I'm holding on to it until Christmas this year. So it's very interesting. And then also new EX battle decks in there. Same configuration as the previous sets. They're what, Sean?
I was going to say, I think the really important bit here is that, I don't know if you said this, but this is going to be Pokemon 151. That's what our holiday set is most likely going to be, which is the set that's releasing in Japan in a couple of weeks. Which includes, I'm pretty sure it includes the, is this for the Alakazam?
Yeah, Alakazam EX.
Yeah, the one that attacks from the bench.
Yeah, that's going to be...
That's going to be fun.
Think about...
Mimikyu?
Think about isn't there a Pokemon also that says, like, if it gets hit by damage, like, don't take a prize?
Yeah, we talked about this. Trevenant, something like that, I believe.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, you just hide behind that thing and just attack from the bench.
I mean,
force your opponent to play Mabo Stiff every single turn.
I could easily see, like, this is the perfect control partner. We talked about this, but, like, whether it's, like, Snorlax that you can't retreat, Miltank, so you have a wall, Mimikyu, so you throw it down and you can't do damage to it or whatever. Like, I think there's a combination of things where you could just do that, sit with this thing in the back. But yeah, I am excited for this set in September.
I'm interested to see all the cards in there because I don't think that they're gonna be like all the same art as like the original like base set or fossil or whatever. They're going to be their own unique arts, and I personally think this Charizard looks good. I probably still won't go out of my way to get it because it's going to be expensive, but I think it's I would rather have that, truthfully, considering that we've gotten like the base set Charizard pumped bunches of times already. I'm pretty stoked about this Charizard EX.
I mean, Jake, you're going to have so many options come September. You're going to have this Charizard. You're going to have the dark type Terrastal Charizard.
Yeah, that's going to be sick.
So, yeah.
I might have to get that one because I love, like, I don't know if I'll love the Terra types as much as the Delta species because the Terra types have that, like, hat thing. I don't know if I love that as much.
They're all wearing a hat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the last piece of news is, this weekend, Paldea Evolved's pre-release is starting. I'll be going to some events. Jake, do you have the option to go?
So I will be going to a Paldea Evolved pre-release, but it won't be until after the next podcast that we record.
Got it.
by the time this episode airs, I will be on a bus to Upper New York, not
No.
where Sean is, New York. I'm going to Rochester.
Fun.
But I will not be able to do a pre-release during this weekend because I will be working as always. But the final weekend of like big work for the academic year, and Tuesday I'll be able to go to a pre-release event, and I'm super excited because they revealed the pre-release promos in here, and there are some good ones in here, Sean. First one that I kind of want to talk about in here, Baxcalibur. I think this is the one that people are most excited about. If you don't know Baxcalibur, Stage 2 160 HP Pokemon has the ability Super Cold. As often as you like during your turn, you may attach a basic water energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. So it's the classic Deluge Blastoise.
Yeah.
Pretty much Rain Dance Blastoise, I think is actually what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Its attack is effectively pointless. But
don't worry about it.
Don't worry
just
about
pair
the
it up
attack.
with Chin Pao and you just have fun. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that might be... I guess the question is, right? Like, whatever deck this goes in, maybe it's Chin Pao, maybe it's... who knows?
Mm-hmm.
The question is this the engine that is the most efficient to run? For that kind of deck? Because it is a Stage 2. So Baxcalibur, it's not...
I don't know. I mean, Gardevoir's Stage 2.
True. Gardevoir is a Stage 2. And Gardevoir's ability is almost as... I actually would say Gardevoir's ability is better than this because...
I think it is, too.
It's from the discard. But,
yeah.
Look, this is... The annoying part about this is that if your opponent is playing this and does get it powered up, like get up to the Stage 2, is it worth it to boss it up? Is the question.
Well, I think the idea of the deck, and I mean, we'll talk a lot about this more next week, I think, is our Paldea Evolved set list review tentatively.
Yep.
But the idea is to play this Baxcalibur alongside Chin Pao EX, because Chin Pao EX has an ability, I believe, that allows you to get 2 water energies from the deck into your hand. And then you use Baxcalibur to put it on the Chin Pao. And I can't remember what the attacks are on that Pokemon, but the idea is this just to be the Rain Dance, and that's it. No attacking for this beast. Although, I mean, I guess you could if you were able to set up more than one, or you got in a situation where you didn't need Super Cold ability anymore, Rain Dance. You could attack little one prizes with it. I mean, Lost Box matchups, right? You could go into that. The
True.
Gardevoir, if you go into like the Curlias or the Ralts or whatever, who knows? It hits 130, so that takes out Greninja.
Yeah, I mean, look, it'll be interesting. I think the question that I have with something like this is we had Frostmoth and Lapras in the format, Lapras VMAX back in the day, with Capacious Bucket. So we had a way to get energy, attach energy, do infinite damage. And I wouldn't say that deck ever really took the world by storm. So, like, maybe we're living in a different world. I don't want to write this off immediately, but I'll be interested to see how this one goes. But there's a couple of others. Some of the other pre-release promos, we have Tinkaton, which is basically a better trade. It's like trade +1, right?
Well, it's arguable if it's trade, because trade, Curly, a refinement, comes on a Stage 1, whereas Tinkaton is a Stage 2.
But what you get for that extra thing is you get 3 cards that you draw instead of 2.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. And, I mean, the Tinkaton can hit for 180 off of 2 energy if one of them is a special energy. And so you can attach a reversal, an energy card that we'll talk about later in this podcast, to be able to just do a 1 attachment 180 hit. I don't think it's the best pre-release out of the 4 of them, but I do think it has the best art out of the 4 of them.
Now,
Tinkaton just doing an absolute smash.
I will say, if you made a Tinkaton deck with an unknown V-Star to give everything weakness to Psychic, now you're cooking.
Yeah, now maybe that's the key. Maybe that's what you do.
Yeah,
I don't know.
People be talking about that unknown. I'm not gonna lie, but I'll mention this next one, and then you can do the last one, because the last one I think is the one that's probably the most interesting, which is
It's the wonkiest.
yeah. This one is a Murkrow, the third one. It has spin turn, which don't worry about it. It's a basic, so you can play it immediately, and its United Wings attack is the one that matters. 20 damage for each Pokemon in your discard that has the United Wings attack. So it's Mad Party.
Mad
Maybe.
Party.
But
oh God, what's it? Lost March.
Lost March, Night March. I mean, I don't know why they are so fixed on 20 times damage. I think Mad Party made it very clear that 20 times damage, while really fun, is not necessarily the most impactful.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we are lower HP, aren't we, than the VMAX days? I mean, we still have some VMAX in format, but like thinking about this card in like a year, right?
Maybe.
Once a lot of the other VMAXs rotate, I mean, now you're trying to hit like the 280 range. Right? Is Murkrow viable at that point? Yeah, EXs.
But the EXs are 310 for Gardevoir, 330 for Charizard.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, you're right about that.
I mean, look, who knows where we'll be? You might be right. I think the majority of Pokemon you're swinging into, you're absolutely right, are 280, right? That's the new number.
Mm-hmm.
So, but to think like it does 20 times damage for each Pokemon with United Wings in your discard pile. Okay, you want to do 280. How many would you need to do that? 14? That's a lot of Pokemon in your discard pile.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
It's possible.
You think about it, 4x4, you know, that's, 4x4 is 16. Yeah, if you have 4 Pokemon that have it, that's 16. One has to be on the field, 15. I mean, it's not. I just think that the Pokemon Company, I mean, one, this is a single
energy.
This is a single energy attack, and it's a specific energy.
It is.
So it's kind of nerfed itself in a sense. I mean, you're probably going to play this with like a multicolored energy of some sort or something like that. I don't know, because I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. We'll talk about it in the Paldea Evolved review. If the other attackers are just one single energy, but other colored energies, I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like once you get to 30, you really start getting dicey on like, there's no, like, it's either 20 or 30. I mean, you think 30 times 10 is 300, and it was not hard. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't terrible to get 9 or 10 in the discard pile for
fine
for like Mad Party. I don't know. I mean,
here's what I say,
could start snowballing.
Let it also count the Pokemon on your bench that have United Wings. Then
it'd be interesting, like Durant.
Yeah, like do a combo of discard and bench. I don't know. I mean, look, I think the way that they could fix this, I say fix, I don't know. The way that they could make this probably more impactful is if you came out with Pokemon that were like 2 or 3 or 4 different typings. So you have a dark one in Murkrow, which dark, hey, let's be frank, dark is a good typing.
It's hidden weakness, yeah.
Right.
You'd be able to do it.
If they made a dark, if they had a fighting type, and if they had an electric type right now, that would be gas.
They'd be hitting everything. You'd have BDIF.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Now, I don't know if they're going to do that, but to me, like, once you start...
Box would just have a field day.
Oh, gosh, it'd be so... Well, yeah, I mean, you don't even need Lost Box.
These 60 HP Murkrows, like, Lost Box would just have so much fun.
Jake, what is the last one?
The last one is the wackiest out of all 4 of the pre-release promos. It is a Pelipper, Stage 1 Pelipper, 122 HP, colorless Pokemon. Has the ability Heresy. When you play
hearsay,
this Pokemon,
hearsay.
Oh,
not,
hearsay.
Not
sorry.
Heresy.
Still weird. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may choose one. Put a supporter card from your discard pile into your hand, or search for a deck for a supporter card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. So you have the option of early in the game, go into your deck and grab a supporter that you need for the turn. At the end of the game, you can evolve and grab it from your discard pile, like a Versus Seeker, like the Delcatty in Celestial Storm, I think it was. So there's It's really, really cool, in my opinion, to see this because it gives you flexibility, it gives you options, and it has a lot of potential, I feel like. I don't know exactly what plays it. It's definitely a support Pokemon, but I mean, you could play this again, like at any time. Saying we need Prism Star Ditto back in the format.
I know.
I'll keep saying it again and again.
I fully agree with you. This would be absolutely amazing if we had Prism Star Ditto. But in general, I'm like, it's cool. I agree with you. Like, I like how they gave you the option. It can be discard, it can be deck, wherever you need it. If you're going to take the time to put 2 cards in your deck and spend a turn evolving this, you know what? Go get yourself a supporter. And I'm like,
especially with not an easy way to pick it up, like Scoop Up Net.
Yeah, you don't have Scoop Up Net. You don't have anything that can easily pick this thing up. Like, you could Collapse Stadium it, but other than that, like, typically with Collapse Stadium, you want to get rid of a 2-prizer that is, you know, got damage on it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm thinking like the only options are like Sharon's Care, or I'm trying to look up Volo real quick on the exact wording of
I think it's
Volo.
A benched V is Volo.
Yeah, it's benched V and all attached cards. I thought it had something to do with normal Pokemon. So like, I don't
Sharon's
know.
Care. That's basically it.
I would be interested to see if we got like Super Scoop Up back in the format where you have to flip a coin, and if heads, you can pick up a Pokemon and put it in your hand.
That's interesting. I know you made the call one time for Level Ball coming back into the format. I think, I don't know, between Volo,
I don't see it.
I don't see it either. I'm thinking about it between Volo, Sharon's Care, and Penny.
Yeah, they've got enough effects of like picking up cards. Like it's more likely that they're gonna reprint Crushing Hammer.
You know, they could though. I actually could see them printing, because Penny picks up basic, Volo picks up V, Sharon's Care picks up normal. I could see them printing a Super Scoop Up that says only Pokemon without a rule box.
Oh, you know,
I could see it. That would not be broken.
How interesting would it be if you had a supporter that was like pick up any number of non-rule box Pokemon?
That would be great. That would be really cool.
That would be, man, if Pokemon prints that, they better send me a paycheck. I mean, that would be an interesting card to print. I don't know if that would be too powerful or too good, but it would definitely be interesting. Because you could have the option of 1 or 4 or something like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a great note to end on. Pokemon, send this man a check. Anyways,
well, no, make my idea a reality so that I can say I called it again. Then we can talk about, you know, a check. Yeah. But anyway, Sean, is there anything else that you want to talk?
No. Have fun at pre-release this weekend.
That's going to be it for the Metapod podcast this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Pre-release polls over on Twitter at MetapodTCG. We'll make sure next week that we read some of the YouTube comments that you all left. We completely forgot about it because it's like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Recording.
I got
this,
that babysit.
I gotta wake up and be on a bus. Yeah. We've been busy. So thank you so much for all your support, and we'll see you in the next one.